Hi, I'm the Warrior Witch, and you can call me Nike. Today's topic is one that isn't quite so light. I promise that's not like a play on words. Yeah. But today I wanted to talk about a concept called shadow work. Now, shadow work is actually a psychological concept, and the term of the shadow was coined by a man named Carl Jung. Now, his writings are very, very illuminating, so you should definitely go give those a read if you have the chance to, because they're awesome. But the basic premise is that the shadow is the part of you that stays in the unconscious, that you are not completely aware of, anything that remains hidden from your immediate awareness. It's a part of your mind that is instinctual and a little bit irrational, and often involves a lot of things that you keep from yourself to keep yourself safe. This can be both positive and negative things. It can be things like if you have low self-esteem, then the shadow is your higher self-esteem. But it can also be things like where deep-seated anger or sadness might come from. Now, I want people to understand right off the bat, shadow work is not meant to replace therapy, it is meant to enhance therapy. So please do not think that this is a way to skip past therapy and work on your mental illness without it. It can be a great help, but it will not completely replace therapy, a licensed professional therapist, or even medications in some cases. It is simply a way to add on to those to give yourself more tools that even psychologists use. There's a lot of reasons we might have our shadow, but the reasons that we want to work through it is to become healthier, more self-aware individuals. Now, I can give you some examples of my own personal journey through shadow work, and some of that is when I had some self-esteem issues, I had to work backwards through why, where those things came from, where those thoughts came from, and I had to essentially trace it back to whose words am I actually hearing in my head. So if you hear an insult, like for example, when I was in elementary school, a lot of kids called me ugly. That might seem inconceivable with how beautiful I am now, because I do legitimately think that I'm gorgeous. But whenever I start to doubt some of my appearance, or when I start to feel bad about a particular feature, I kind of go back in my mind and I think, when did I hear that? Who actually said that to me? And I can go back and find the exact people that said those things to me. Or I can see, like, if I don't feel comfortable with how small my lips are, because they're kind of small. They are. Media has a big influence on that, so I have to understand that it's not my own thoughts telling me that, it is the influence of media on me. And number two, I get a lot of my features from my mother, who I think is gorgeous, and I've never once thought that she was any less attractive because of the shape of her lips. So I have to understand that these thoughts, these shadows that are in my head that are saying things to me that I don't exactly feel necessarily as a conscious truth, I have to work through that shadow and dissect it so that I can take it apart. And often for myself, when I've finally found the root of whatever this thing is, this shadow part of my mind that's telling me whatever thing, I often struggle less with it. So it's a lot easier to disconnect from those negative thoughts and know, I didn't say that, I don't think that. Other people's opinions don't necessarily create truth, especially when they're insults. I want to read a quote from Carl Jung as well, and I think it's very, very true and very telling about some of the purposes of shadow work. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. And this is very true. Often the shadow comes out in the form of projection. So when you have something you don't like about yourself, for example, I knew somebody that was a cheater. They didn't want to admit that they were cheating, and they didn't want to admit how awful they felt about it. So they projected that onto other people that they would then accuse of cheating. Sometimes this can be in the form of accusing their own partner of cheating, but in this particular case of this person I knew, they were accusing another friend of ours of cheating on their partner, and it wasn't true. But they wanted to project out these feelings that they were having about themselves, these bad feelings, how awful they felt, and in order to protect themselves, they shifted and projected this blame onto somebody else. To know that you're dealing with a shadow in your own mind, you can often look for these signs. It can be projecting these feelings onto somebody else. It can be judging somebody very harshly, very quickly. It can be having a little bit of a messiah complex, trying to save everybody because maybe you don't feel like you can save yourself. It takes a lot of self-awareness, and it's not even all that easy, and it's really not all that fun, which is why a lot of people avoid it or don't really want to talk about it. And it mixes in with the love and light, keep your vibrations high, good vibes only stuff. The shadow is not fun. It's not a good vibe, but it is healthy and important. It is important to be able to work through these things so that you can become a healthier individual. I used to struggle with a lot of anger due to competitiveness. So when I was in physical combat competitions, I would get really upset if I lost, and I had to trace back the whys. So I had to say, why am I mad? Well, because I lost. Why does losing make you so upset? Because I don't want everyone to think that I'm a loser. Why does it matter if people think you're a loser? I don't want my friends to stop being friends with me. And just on and on and on, and I eventually found the root of what the real issue was and where this upsetness with not being recognized as being the best came from. And so I slowly was able to pick that apart, and I was able to get my anger to become lower, and I could know that when I lost, it wasn't a bad mark on me, and I wasn't suddenly gonna lose all my friends. They weren't friends with me because I won fights, competitions, competition fighting. They weren't friends with me because I was winning matches. They're friends with me because of me. Now, there are a lot of methods that people use for doing their shadow work, and it's going to be individual to everybody. Some people do it during meditation. I don't really do that myself because meditation is to clear all my thoughts and to calm. Working through stuff is a bit more of an active process for my shadow work, so I might do journaling. Sometimes I talk it out with a friend, or I just talk it out loud because I do like to talk. So sometimes just speaking the words out loud can help you realize that's how you're thinking, and you just keep on talking and keep on going through the process. Some of my shadow work can actually be seen on my social media accounts. So on my Twitter, if you're not following me there already, I get very chaotic. But on my Twitter, I made a post that I'm gonna read out loud here, and I'll see if maybe I put it on the screen. We'll see. But this is a good example of my shadow work. Why do I diminish or downplay all my accomplishments? Maybe it's because I'm scared of the judgment I'll receive for taking witchcraft and YouTube and social media at large seriously, afraid to look like some dumb teenager even though I'm 25. I'm running my own business, technically. People pay good money for social media management, and now I'm considering writing for my own blog and trying to start writing articles. Why am I so scared of the judgment because the subject is weird even though I love it so much? Maybe it's because I was always bullied and belittled for every single weird interest I had and was only ever encouraged to do normal and profitable things, like my mom trying to get me into marketing instead of the arts where I thrive. So this is my version of shadow work. I was feeling very down on myself, and I kept diminishing. Like when I would talk about, yeah, I just got monetized on YouTube, I would then follow it up with a joke like a whole $15, but that's $15 I didn't have before. You have to start somewhere, and there's nothing wrong with starting small. It leads to bigger things. This is an opportunity to begin making money from something that I love and from a passion of mine that I really enjoy. So I had to work through, why am I diminishing myself? Why am I making my accomplishments smaller than they are? Because it really is a big accomplishment to get monetized. Not to toot my own horn, it just is. It takes a lot of work. It's 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So I had to do some shadow work on why I was diminishing my own efforts, why I was minimizing them and making them seem like it was funny rather than something I'm taking very seriously. So for me, my shadow work comes in the form of writing, and the more I write, the more I can sort of find those roots the further in I go. Shadow work for me is kind of in two parts. Some of it is understanding your feelings, and some of it is understanding the roots of things. And they can kind of go together, but you know, sometimes you don't know why you're feeling a certain way. Why am I feeling sad about this thing that shouldn't make me feel sad? If somebody makes a passing comment that really doesn't mean anything, but it hurts you, maybe you don't know why. So work through the why. Why am I feeling angry like I was in competitions? Had to work through the why. And some of it was understanding who had said those things, who had done those things, who had made me feel this way originally, and why did it stick so hard? There's also other methods that are really, I call it fun because I do like understanding myself better, but there are other interesting methods for shadow work that some people do. You can find prompts online for journaling, or what I really like to do is tarot. So if I want to do a little bit of shadow work, you can pick a tarot card just at random, or maybe even a specific one. You can go through the deck individually, card by card, but you pick a card from the deck and you pick the message from it, and you try to look at what kind of shadow work you might need to do in that area. So if you pick, say, the Lovers or the Two of Cups, you could go through some relationship shadow work, either if you're single or in a pairing. If you have ones that are related to work, like in Pentacles, often related to money, let's say the Eight of Pentacles, you could do some shadow work about your skills and how you feel about those, or where you want to go, things that you're interested in. You could you know, like I did, the shadow work on the things that I enjoyed and the opportunities I was getting money from. There's lots of other ways, of course, so it's all up to personal preference, but try to find the thing that you enjoy and try to find the method that works best for you, because obviously it's going to be different for everybody. It's a hard path for sure. It's not always gonna feel good. You might even cry if you're somebody who cries. I know some people don't as much, but I certainly have with some parts of it, just because it can be very raw. It gets to that part of you that you're not ready to face, and it can make you a healthier individual. It can be hard because the reason that we project some of those things is because we're afraid of judging ourselves, because everyone wants to be the hero in their own story. Nobody wants to feel like the bad person, so part of the reason for projecting is, well, I must be good, but look at all these bad people. Your brain is telling you what it wants you to work on, but it's not ready to point it inward because that's painful. And it can feel very shameful to face those things. I know that when I've done shadow work about things that I felt very ashamed of, like ways I had acted in the past, it was not fun to work through. It didn't make me feel very good right away. But in the end, I was able to be a much more grounded, well-rounded person, a much more respectful person, and it definitely helped me help others through their stuff. I've helped people when they couldn't quite tell how they were feeling about a situation, and I just worked them through those questions. Where does this come from? How long have you felt this way? Did anybody ever say this to you before? Did something happen to trigger this kind of feeling in yourself? And so by me developing those shadow work skills, I have been able to help others work through their own shadow work. That's all I've got for this week, so blessed be and good luck on your shadow work. Also, if you're still here, follow me on my social media accounts. I've got Instagram, Twitter, like I said before. I'm gonna be trying to start a blog soon. That'll be fun. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can always unsubscribe later. All right, bye.